In this video, we're going to represent three-dimensional objects through two-dimensional drawings. A three-dimensional object is a figure that has a length, a width, and a height. Many times, when we're finding things such as surface area of the three-dimensional shape, it helps to draw something called a net. A net is a two-dimensional or a flat image of the three-dimensional figure. Let's go through finding the net of several three-dimensional figures. We're going to start with a rectangular prism. In a rectangular prism, all of the faces are rectangles. Let's start with this one on the front. The rectangle on the front is long and skinny, so I'm going to draw a long and skinny rectangle. The long side of that rectangle is 6 inches, and the shorter side is 3 inches. Next, let's choose a one to the right of that long and skinny rectangle. That one's a little bit wider, so I'm going to draw a wider rectangle. The width is 5 inches instead of 3, but the height is still 6 inches. Now we have the rectangle in the back. That face is the same size and shape as the face in the front. So I'm going to draw another long and skinny rectangle. This one again has a height of 6 and a width of 3 inches. Then finally we have the one on the left. That face is the same size as the one directly across from it. It still has the height of 6 inches, but it has the width of 5 inches. Now that we've gone through all the faces, we can go through the bases. This shape has two bases, one on the bottom and one on the top. They're the same size and have the same height and width. So we can draw a rectangle on the top and a rectangle on the bottom. The length and width of that rectangle is 3 inches by 5 inches. And now we have our net. We have a two-dimensional flat image of our three-dimensional shape. Let's go through another figure. This one is a square pyramid. A square pyramid has a square for a base and triangular faces that come up to a point. Let's first start by drawing our base. Our base is a square. The sides of my square are all 5, because in a square, all sides are equal. Now we have our faces. Our faces are triangles, and because it's a square pyramid, all the triangles are going to be congruent. So you can draw a triangle coming off each of the sides of the square. The base of the triangle is the 5 inches, because that's the side of the square. The height of the triangle is going to be 8 inches. Now we have our net of the square pyramid. Let's switch gears and talk about a cylinder. A cylinder is another type of three-dimensional shape. It has two bases that are both circular, but instead of having flat faces, it has a rounded surface for a face. When I think of a cylinder, I think of a can such as a can of soup. The rounded surface is just like the label of the can. If you were going to cut the label of the can off, what shape would you get? If you thought rectangle, you're correct. The smooth surface of that cylinder makes a rectangle. But what's going to be the length and width of that rectangle? We have our 5. That's going to be the width. What do you think is going to be the length? The length is actually going to be the circumference of the circle. So that's a calculation you would have to find. Now all we have left are the two bases that are both circles. So we can draw a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom. The radius of the circle is 7 feet. And now we have the net of our cylinder. We have one final shape, and this is a cone. A cone has a circular base, just like the cylinder did. But unlike the cylinder, it only has one base. Our cone has a round, smooth surface, but because it only has one base, it comes to a point. When we draw our net, let's start with the circular base. On our circular base, we have the diameter given. It's 4 meters. Now we have to draw that smooth surface as a flat image. It's going to look very similar to what I just highlighted, but if you think about it, the smooth surface goes all the way around the circle. We can draw a curve that would be the same as the circumference of the circle. Then, since it comes to a point, we can draw those lines coming down. This is not the height of the cone though. These two sides are called the slant. And now we have the net of our cone.